Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Surviving Christmas and January here inside the Money Mission. Of course, my name is Kalila Reynolds, and it's my pleasure to host you once again in the 7 days before Christmas. As you know, Christmas is next week, Monday, so you still have the shopping season. For those of you who haven't started shopping yet, comment me in the chat. Who started their Christmas shopping already? Who finished? If you finished, comment finished, done. That's me. I finished my Christmas shopping from last week because I was like, nope, not me and the crowds. I shall not be out there. Ordinarily, I like to get my Christmas shopping done from like November. Just buy everything online and get it shipped. But this year I did buy some local items, and that's one of my tips later on. So Raquel says so you haven't started yet. Anybody finish? I can take a poll. I think we can set a poll inside this thing. I've never done it yet. Polls, get a quick pulse of the audience. Start a poll, ask a question. Have you finished your Christmas shopping? Option 1, yes. Option 2, no. 3, I haven't started yet. 4, I'm broke. No shopping this year. Oh boy. All right, so I'm gonna launch that, and you guys can vote in the poll. All right. But just to let you know, I'm going to be a little bit distracted during this presentation because I forgot to ask one of my team members to be the person behind the scenes to let people in on the call. So hopefully it doesn't get too bad, and we can just get through this presentation. So let us start from 1 and take the poll over there in the chat. Surviving Christmas and January, because we all know that January is what? MAGA season. You spend all your money on Christmas, and then January comes, and January is like 2 months long by itself, and you barely getting by during January because you splurged in Christmas. And most of us also get paid early for Christmas. So most people are usually paid by like the 20th, which would be Wednesday, which gives you this weekend coming up to shop for Christmas. So I wanted to do this presentation before you get paid. Hopefully, some people have already been paid. I already paid my team before you get paid, so that you can still make good financial decisions going forward. So I'm going to group these into a few sections, right? I have about 16 tips for you. Our first set is going to be shopping tips. Our second set is going to be on income. Our third set is going to be on managing debt, very important. And our final set is going to be on household, managing your household during this time. So tip number 1, this is on shopping. Remember, that's the first group. Tip number 1 is to set your budget. So this is the easy one. You probably anticipated this one. Be like Santa, make a list and check it twice. You want to make sure that you stick to your list, especially in this time, because it's such an easy time to overspend. It's such an easy time. You're out shopping, you see other things that you like. You're like, oh, I'm gonna buy some extra decorations for the tree. I didn't even buy nothing for my house this year because them decorations are so expensive. Like, I repurposed all my decorations from last year, and what lost and what broke, so be it. I did not buy anything for the house this year, nothing at all. I didn't even go to those places. I didn't even look at the home decorations. Set your budget and stick to it. Make your list and check it twice. Write down the list, not just the list in your head, because you're going to forget. Write down a list. And of course, you know what we say about budgeting, right? Budgets are flexible. If things change, you work with your budget. And I will actually give you my budget template. This evening, I just thought of this. I do have a budget template. I will customize it for you for Christmas. This is going to be your Christmas budget template. Now I'm giving myself work to do tonight. And you can take this. It's going to be a Google Sheet spreadsheet. You can have it on your phone. You can customize your budget if you need to change anything. If you already set your number and things need to change, it's going to automatically change on your phone and across all your devices. So set your budget, make your list, check it twice, and do not be afraid to make changes, make amendments, make adjustments as necessary to your Christmas list. And of course, like I said, I'm going to be sharing with you the Christmas shopping, what we're going to call it, shopping template, our Christmas budget template at the end of this webinar, at the end of this program. That's number one. Number two goes hand in hand with number one. Track your spending. So a lot of us, we make the budget, but then we don't hold ourselves accountable to the budget. We're not writing down how much we actually spent. We write down, or in our minds, we have an amount that we think we spent. And then at the end of the month, when you look in your bank account, you wonder, where did all the money go? What did I spend all of this money on? How come I'm broke? How come I can't meet my bills for January? Because you weren't tracking the spending and you're not realizing how all the little things add up. All the little treats. Oh, let me just buy an extra cake. Oh, I'm going to buy a bigger ham, or, whatever else. I'm going to add another dish to the Christmas dinner. You're buying gifts for different people. You're buying household items. You want to spruce up the place. Fine, do it. But set your budget and then track your spending, which means you want to write it down. And you can use the Christmas budget spreadsheet to do that. And it's going to tell you, it's going to update every single time you make a purchase. Just put the purchase in the little spreadsheet and it will see it's going to turn red automatically when you go over budget. All right, track that spending. Number three, if you saw my video this evening, be careful of sales. Be careful of sales. So this happens all the time. It has happened to me before. I'm not going to lie, because I am absolutely not perfect. But especially when I'm shopping for my mom and some of my best friends, this happens to me, right? So actually, that's not this tip, but it happens a lot. When you see something on sale, all of a sudden now you're like, ooh, it's on sale. I can buy this. It's 30% off. And here in Jamaica, to be honest, we don't really have great sales. You rarely see a good 30% and more off, even 20. You might see a 5, you might see a 10. And then you have those shops that it says sale on the window all year round. Like if it's always a sale, it's never a sale, right? But you have places that are going to lure you in with a sale sign, and you feel like you're saving money because it's on sale, but you're actually spending money that you didn't plan to spend. So if you didn't already plan to buy the item, you're not really saving money by buying the item on sale. If it's not an item that you already wanted or was already on your list, if it's an item that just boom out the blue, you're buying it because it's on sale, you're not doing yourself any favors by buying this item. You're not saving the money that you think you're saving. Let's say the item costs originally $10,000 and it's on sale for $7,000. You didn't plan to spend that $10,000. So now you're not saving $3,000 by buying it for $7,000. You're spending $7,000 that you didn't plan to spend. So watch those sales. And then the other thing about sales is that they are going to lure you in with the promise of a sale. They're going to be like, yeah, come in, we have everything is on sale. And then of course they have the little cheap things that they wanted to get rid of in the front of the store that's on sale, or all the way in the back. That's how they get you. So they put all the things that they wanted to get rid of anyway that was on clearance and put it all the way in the back of the store. So now you have to walk through the entire store and all the nice pretty things that are not on sale, that are full price, those are going to catch your eye on your way to the sales rack. So be careful of sales. You're not doing yourself any favors. You're not saving money unless you already plan to buy the item. And many times you end up buying other things that aren't even on sale on top of the sale item that you didn't plan to buy. So that's shopping tip number 3. Number 4, one gift per person. Now, this is the one that I was saying happens to me all the time, especially when I'm shopping for my mom. That just hit me. I don't have a mom this year. Yeah. Every time I go shopping for my mom, we like the same thing. Like we have the same taste, right? So it would be like one for me, one for you. That's just something that she likes. And I'll be like, okay, I'll buy this for mom. But then I also want one for myself. Happens a lot when I shop for my friends too, because my friends and I, we all have, kind of similar taste. And I'll see something that I'm like, man, she would like this. She would love this item. And I pick it up and then like, let me just get one for myself too. One for you, one for me. And so this one gift per person, including for yourself and even for the kids, because that can be tempting too. Um, Kids gonna give you a long Santa list and say they want all these things, but it's good to set boundaries with your kids from now and let them know you're a good child this year. Yes, I'm gonna give you a present, but don't expect this whole big set of presents, right? One gift per person. And if you have a household where you have multiple adults, one from mommy, one from daddy, that's fine, you know. But just make the rules for yourself and for your household in advance as to how you are going to handle gift giving this Christmas, especially within your household. Next Christmas shopping tip. This one is taboo. Regifting. Anybody ever got something that maybe you didn't like so much? But maybe you didn't like it, but somebody you know would like that item, right? There's stuff that, I say one man's trash is another man's treasure. Maybe it just wasn't for you. I don't think there's anything wrong with sharing that same present with somebody else who would appreciate it more than you do, if it's not something that you really, really liked. Of course, change the packaging. Don't let them know it came from somebody else, because that's absolutely taboo. But I don't really see anything wrong with regifting, and it can help you to meet your Christmas budget. There are things that I've gotten. I haven't done this in a while because I don't do physical gifts as much anymore. And I've kind of trimmed down my Christmas list as well. But there are things that I have saved from like last year and give it to somebody else next year. Is not something that I do regularly, and most of the time it would be, like I said, something that I feel like this other person would just appreciate more than me. So I don't know how you feel about regifting, but it is an option that can save you some money. Number 6, give a handmade gift. I have done this many times in the past as well, especially when I was a lot younger, just starting out in the working world or not even working at all. Making handmade presents is something that people really, really appreciate. Handmade. It can even be a handmade card. It can be, if you're good at crafting, a handmade sweater, depending on what you're good at. So yes, it's the thought that counts, but when you're giving, a handmade gift, you also want it to be meaningful to the person who is receiving it. And in these instances, it's, the time and the effort that you put into it that the person will appreciate. Not gonna get them something ugly now just to save money. Do your best to make it thoughtful and meaningful. And I feel like even if it's a card, most people can do a card, a greeting card, with some thoughtful words and decorate it by hand. It's the type of thing that when you receive it, you're not likely to throw it away. I have a whole drawer full of cards from my kids, and I don't think I might have gotten a couple handmade ones in my younger days from friends, but it's something that I love to do. If you're good at that type of thing, consider giving a handmade gift. Number 7, support small businesses. So not just small businesses, but local businesses. So it's become the norm now to just order all our presents off Amazon and have them shipped. And that's that. You get done, you get through pretty easily, right? But it's also good to support your local craft vendors. You have a lot of great locally made options. And many times the local options and the small businesses give you better deals than you would get online anyway. And then that helps to build up the economy, it helps to build up the business, and it's a win-win situation all around. So if it is possible, support small business and support local business. It really does a lot. And it's often a very thoughtful gift as well. And not just that, but many times you go to a small business, a small vendor, micro vendor, you can negotiate prices. I'm not saying try beat them down to nothing, right? But many times these types of businesses, the vendor is the owner. And so you have an opportunity if you're on a budget and the item costs 5,500 and I only have 5, you have an opportunity to negotiate with the vendor and say, listen, boss, I only have 5 grand. Can you do it for 5 grand? Chances are they're going to take that. So you have an opportunity when supporting small and local business to negotiate your prices and get potentially better deals. Now let's go into some of our second set of tips, and this is on income. So a wise friend told me years ago, Christmas is a time that everybody's spending money. Therefore, Christmas is a time that you should be making money. It's a little bit late now because it's 7 days to Christmas, but it's not impossible to try to boost your income even at this late hour. Christmas is a time, my friend who told me this over 10 years ago, said that because everybody's spending money, you should have something to sell. You should have something to offer at Christmas time because people are in the spending spirit. So this is an ideal time for you to boost your income. And like I said, it's maybe difficult now because it's kind of last minute to try to get something to sell and to think of something at this last hour. But keep it in mind for next year. Plan for next year. When everybody is selling, when everybody is buying, sell. So it's very similar to what Warren Buffett says about the stock market. Be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. It's quite simple. When everybody's buying, sell. Everybody wants something at this time. I remember years ago when I released my first book, which was a poetry book. This was like in probably 2009. I released it just around Christmas for that very, very reason. And people used to always say to me, oh, Kalila, why are you doing a book? Nobody reads. Why are you doing poetry? Nobody reads poetry specifically. And I sold out of that book twice, 2 years in a row. I did poetry books in the weeks leading up to Christmas, and 2 years in a row I sold out. 500 copies the first year, 700 copies the second year. And you know how I did it? I did it because I launched it in the weeks leading up to Christmas. And I was on the street, literally on the street side. This was in Belize City on Albert Street, which is a very popular street in downtown Belize City. I set up a table on the street side with my books, and I was there selling books every day, up until late Christmas Eve night. And Christmas Eve night turned out to be the easiest time to make a sale because these were all the last minute people who didn't know what to buy. And they're like on the road trying to figure out what to buy for this person. And I would be there with my book, pre-wrapped. So I would, because people usually would ask me to sign the book. So I would pre-sign the book, Merry Christmas from Kalila, blah, blah, blah. Wrap it already. So now they don't even have to wrap the present. It's already wrapped for them. And I'd be like, don't know what to give this person, get them a book. And 9 times out of 10, that last minute shopper would buy the book. And that's how I sold out of my book twice in 2000, I think it was probably 2008 and 2009. 2 times, 500 copies. At the time, it was $20 each, Belize. How much money that? 10 US times 500, that's 5,000 US dollars I made selling books on the street. The second year, 7,000 US dollars and selling books on the street. And books traditionally are something fairly hard to sell. So it's also why I launched the Investing for Beginners Masterclass leading up to Christmas. And I usually have some type of promotion now leading up to Christmas because people are in a buying mood. So when people are in a buying mood, make sure that you have something to sell, and that way you can have more income. So everybody's thinking about buying, you think about selling. And if you are really committed to the cause, you buy after Christmas. Make all your money, spend all your time, as much time as you can, making the money before Christmas. And then after Christmas, if your family is understanding, then you make your purchases, or at least, it gives you some leeway in the things that you can buy. So that's one of my favorite Christmas tips for your Christmas and January survival guide. Make up your money during Christmas time. And businesses know this. So you as an individual might not realize it, but almost every company that you work for is doing this. They're doing some type of Christmas promotion. For me, who is in media, this is prime advertising season. Every merchant right now wants to advertise something. And so when I used to work in traditional media, and you'll hear it on the radio right now, you hear a bunch of ads. Everybody's advertising something. On the TV, everybody's advertising something. Some media companies right now are making a killing. They're making a lot of money because this is prime advertising season. So for you, I did a course recently, a couple weeks ago, money marketing spoke about influencers. If you're an influencer, this is a prime time for you to make some money, because there are tons of companies who want to collab with you right now to promote their thing that they're selling and trying to promote ahead of Christmas. So you need to think about it that way. Christmas is an opportunity. And of course, you're going to say, well, yeah, Christmas is all about the season, the reason for the season, and celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ and all that. But realistically, Christmas has also become a very consumer-driven period of time. As we prepare for that holiday and for that sacred day, we all tend to spend a lot of money. And it dates back even to biblical times, to the tradition of the three wise men bringing gifts for Jesus. And so now we've taken it to another level that we need to buy gifts as well, and people celebrate. And there's nothing wrong inherently with celebrating. But with that celebration, by most people, comes an opportunity for you to make some money. Take advantage of it. The next one, you should have seen this coming as well. Invest in some stocks. Give the gift that keeps on giving. So investing in almost anything, well, anything that meets the criteria, is a good idea even around Christmas time. So you can give stocks as gifts to family members rather than giving physical gifts. You can invest in some stocks for yourself. Make that a part of your Christmas list, or your spouse or somebody else that you care about. Let them know that right now is a time that maybe you don't need a physical gift. Maybe what you want is a gift that's going to continue paying you for years to come. Shares, a portion of ownership in a company, especially a dividend paying company that is going to pay you next 3 months, and then 3 months after that, and then 3 months after that, and 3 months after that, in perpetuity almost, until you decide to sell that stock. And there are many great companies that you can consider investing in. You guys know I have an Investing for Beginners course. Lily says, realize that stocks are usually down too, because a lot of people sell their shares to go Christmas shopping. Excellent point, Lithium Lily. A lot of people are cashing out because they want the money to go buy stuff, to go spree. And so many times around Christmas time, you will notice that the prices are down, which means that it is cheaper to acquire these stocks. So what? As Warren Buffett said, be greedy when others are fearful, fearful when others are greedy. People are selling their stocks. Right now is a good buying opportunity to get it for much lower price than you may ordinarily get it for. So make that investment in yourself at this time or in others. So it's a great time to open an investment account for someone. Or I don't know if you can open on behalf of somebody else, but many local companies offer you the opportunity to buy a gift certificate and to gift a certain dollar amount for stocks. So I believe JMMB does this, where you can buy like a $10,000 gift certificate for JMMB investments, and then they can use that to open up their investment account and get their situation started. So of course, invest in stocks. And if you guys are interested, I also have a gift card for investing for beginners. So don't just give them the money to invest, teach them how to invest as well. I'll take the questions at the end. Now let's get into debt management this Christmas. And this gets a lot of people into a lot of trouble, because you have this urge and you say, I'll just put it on my credit card. And you're thinking, okay, I'll swipe it. I have until X date to pay it back. And sure, so I say avoid credit card debt, but in reality, what I'm saying is avoid debt that you can't afford to repay by the due date. If you can afford to repay it in its entirety by the due date, I don't even really consider that debt. That's an interest-free loan, because you don't pay any interest on your credit card if you paid off in full by the due date. So go ahead and use the credit card, but don't get into debt. Because if you are unable to repay that debt before the due date, you are going to get hit with interest. And the average interest rates in Jamaica is over 40%, 40. And that shocks a lot of people who've never really looked at their credit card statement. When they say 45, 50%, 51, 52, 55% interest on their credit card, that can be shocking. And that interest starts adding up. It starts accumulating very, very, very quickly. And then you say, oh, I'm just going to make the minimum payment, not realizing that the minimum payment doesn't even cover the full interest. So you end up in a cycle forever trying to pay off that credit card. So I'm going to say this, I've said it a million times. This Christmas, use your credit card like a debit card. If you don't have the money to pay it off in full at the end of the month or before that credit card becomes due, then you just don't have the money. Use it and get the points. Sure, your rewards, your cash back, excellent. But if you have to go over balance, over what you have in your debit account to pay off that credit card, then just don't buy it. And go back to tip number 1, make your budget, make your list, stick to it, check it twice, and stay within your budget. But avoid going into credit card debt for Christmas. You don't want to end up in 2024 in a brand new year with the same old problems and more. Next tip is to avoid high interest debt. So credit card is a form of high interest debt, but it's not the only form of high interest debt. So a lot of people contact me all the time about microloans. People are in trouble with microcredit institutions, and they have loan sharks at their door, calling them, harassing them, and bullying them, trying to collect with some outrageous terms. So what a lot of these microcredit institutions will do is they say, borrow $100,000, JMD we're talking, and just pay me back $5,000 a week for 5 years. So you say $5,000 a week is manageable, but then you don't realize it's 5 years, 5,000 a week. You realize you end up paying back 1,000,000 times what you borrowed, and you never calculated what that interest rate actually amounts to, which is really an extortionist rate. And most people, they just say, okay, X amount a week or X amount a month. Sounds manageable, not realizing that you end up paying back that loan 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, even 10 times. Because there are loan companies out there right now where you're paying 100% interest. 100% interest. But they're not going to tell you up front that it's 100% interest because of the way that they structure the loan. They don't even mention interest. What they will tell you is just pay back X amount a week. Just pay back X amount a month. But when you really do the maths, the interest is exorbitant. So if you're considering a loan, do the maths and avoid that type of high interest debt where you end up repaying the loan multiple times over before you are finally free of that loan. Next, take advantage of free loans. What do I mean by free loans? So there are opportunities for you to borrow money. I'm not opposed to borrowing. People feel like, okay, because I talk about money, I'm against borrowing. I'm absolutely not opposed to borrowing. There are opportunities for you to get interest-free loans. So the credit card is one that I mentioned. If you paid off in full by the due date, that is an interest-free loan. That's free money. You get to borrow money without having to pay it back for, let's say, 20 days until you have that extra money. So let's say you are using one of my earlier tips about boosting your income, and you are selling something this Christmas. So you know you're gonna get the money. You don't have the money now. You're buying something for Christmas. You don't really have the money right now, right now, but you know the money is gonna come in because you know from previous experience that you're going to make these sales for Christmas. This gives you some leeway with the money that you borrow and with your cash flow. So you can use that loan to meet these expenses until your cash flow comes in and you're able to repay it in full before the due date. So that's one form of free loan, interest-free loan. Another one is a facility, see the financial institutions, a couple of them offering now. I know Scotia offers it and NCB offers it. There is this facility where you can convert your payment. Like let's say you buy something on a credit card, you can convert that payment into installments. And I think they give you 3 months interest-free. So let's say you're buying a new fridge for $100,000 and you put that fridge on a credit card. You can then convert that into 3 installments and pay off $33,000, $33,000, $33,000 with 0 interest over 3 months. Ordinarily, after 1 month, you're going to start accumulating interest. But now they're giving you 3 months to pay with no interest. They also give you other options. They give you like 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, but those do attract interest. However, it's going to be a lower interest than you ordinarily would pay. So I know I looked at Scotia's plan and their interest rate for like the 12 months. I think it's something like 19.5%. Ordinarily on the credit card, your interest rate would be like 45, 50%, depending on what you qualify for. So even if you do that more extensive repayment period, it's still a much better arrangement than just keeping it on the credit card at the regular rate. So take advantage of free loans like that. Our next tip has to do with your household. And this is one that can catch you, especially if you're not used to being the person who has to pay the light bill. I always wonder how these people with all the lights do it. They must have a solar or something, because lights used to be a lot more common when we were younger. Like this week, last weekend, I was driving around town, because I remember when I was a kid, we used to drive around town and look at lights, like look at people's houses, and it used to bring me so much joy as a child. This past weekend, I took my kids to drive around town, and there's like no lights nowhere. 1 or 2 shopping centers had up lights, But as for houses, very, very few. And if they had up lights, it wasn't really much. And there's a reason for that. People are not doing it because it's expensive. So, and they've already figured out this tip that they need to watch the lights. The lights are expensive. It adds up. Not only that, but you might want to consider switching out to LED lights. So if you do insist on the lights, you want to make the kids happy. I have up lights inside my house on the tree, but not outside. I made sure that I invested in some good LED lights because they burn a lot less electricity than other types of lights, about 30% savings on your lighting. The next thing that you want to consider is keeping those lights on, say, an hour less. If you normally keep it on all night, turn them off when you're going to bed, or if you normally turn it off at 11 o'clock, turn it off at 10 o'clock instead. That way you can save money on your light bill, and it accumulates over time because that's an hour less each day for, let's say, 30 days. If you're the type of person who puts up your lights on December 1 and keeps them up until New Year's, an hour a day for 30 days is 30 hours. That's a lot of electricity that you could be saving. And now my final tip for you this evening is to pay your January bills now. This is probably the most important one of this entire webinar. If you take away nothing else from this webinar, remember tip number 13. Pay your January bills now. That way you do not have to stress or worry or borrow and beg come January. Pay your January bills now, especially because most of us get paid early in December. We tend to forget that we still have rent due January 1. You still have your mortgage due. You still have your car payment due, your light bill due. All these bills are still due right around the beginning of January. And you already spent your whole lot of money Christmas time, and now you're running late with the payments for your landlord. You're hoping JPS don't cut off the light. You're hoping Water Commission gives you a little break. So pay your January bills soon as you get your December pay. Soon as you get your December pay. So right now, all my bills for January done pay. Already paid. All my business bills, all my personal bills have been paid. And that way I know that whatever is left is money that I can spend, money that I can play with. I don't have to be worrying about when the time comes. I forgot that I had this extra bill to pay. Pay your January bills right now. And that way you can survive January for the most part. The only thing that you'll still have left to buy and pay for is food. That can be tricky. Maybe buy some hurricane food for January. When you're buying your Christmas goods, buy some sardine and some canned food and put it up for January one time. Some stuff that you're probably not gonna eat right now, put it up for January one time. So when January come and you're struggling and you're trying to find something to eat, at least you have the little hurricane supplies, right? Pay your January bills now. So that brings me to the end of this little presentation. I'm going to open it up for questions. Use the raise hand feature if you have a question. And I also want to encourage you to, we are already part of usually hungry in January for real now. Join the Money Mission. You're already part of it. Most of you here are, even if you're on the free plan, but we do have some premium items available in Money Mission. I have Investing for Beginners, which teaches you how to start investing, especially on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, gives you all the investing basics. We also have Done with Debt / Debt Do-Over, which will help you to make a plan to pay off your debts within 12 months. And we also have coming up Build Your Budget. This is going to be a live workshop on January 13th, not just live, an in-person workshop. I haven't decided where yet, like what the venue is going to be, but we are going to get together and build our entire budget for the year. So most of us don't really think about ourselves, like financial planning for ourselves for an entire year. But I like to take a day in late December, early January, and prepare my entire financial year. Not just companies have financial years, we have financial years too. We got to plan. We got to figure out when we're going to pay off the debts that we had in 2023. We got to figure out, okay, how are we going to make these money moves? How much are we going to allocate to investments? Where is the money going to come from? School fee raise. How am I going to make it up? We're doing Build Your Budget workshop in person on January 13th. But if you join Money Mission Premium, you get an invitation. I can't guarantee yet that it's going to be entirely free for Money Mission Premium members because it all depends on the cost of the venue. I don't have a venue booked yet, but as low cost as possible. And if you do Money Mission Premium, you get all of these courses: Investing for Beginners, Done with Debt, Build Your Budget, and others included. And of course, you also get to attend all our free webinars coming up throughout the year. So I'd love to see you there. Now, time for questions. Anybody has their hand raised? Let me look at the chat. Lithium says, Ja, usually hungry in January for real, you know. Sandra says, so true. Alcian, thank you for all the tips. Lovely session. You're welcome. Sandra again says, great gift ideas. Kimberly wants to know, which stocks would you recommend at this time? Kimberly, you must be new here because I do not recommend stocks. Just remember that. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. But on January, what day? The first Tuesday in January is the 9th. On January 9th, we're going to be having our Taking Stock Year in Review, where we look back at all the top stories of 2023, top business stories. And we'll also have our analyst panel who will give us their picks for 2024. So you definitely don't want to miss that. Lily says, realized stocks are usually down too because a lot of people sell their shares to go Christmas shopping. Yeah, we spoke about that. Shanique says, no shopping for me. Oh, Shanique. Raquel. So yeah, any questions? I don't see any hands raised. So I guess that is it. Omar says, thank you for your tips. I am going to work on that document for you guys now, and it will be inside the Money Mission for our paid members, especially basic and premium. You guys will be able to access that document tonight. I'm just going to customize that. It shouldn't take me too long to do, and upload it into Money Mission along with the replay of this webinar. Thank you everybody for joining me this evening. It was my pleasure being here with you. And Merry Christmas. Enjoy it when it comes. Bye-bye.